Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism. Well, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about a paranormal legend. A legend that takes us back to the town of Springfield. I don't know if you saw my previous video on the haunted house in Springfield. However, we're going back to Springfield to talk about another matter, a matter that I went and looked into this past weekend in Springfield Cemetery. I took some pictures. In fact, if you got to this point, you probably saw them at the beginning of the video. But let's begin, okay? So the story, as residents tell it, is one of Michael Brown, who was a 15-year-old teenager who was walking home from a hunt on a deserted road in the middle of the night. Michael Brown was suddenly hit by a drunk driver who then fled the scene, so it was a hit and run. There were no witnesses, no one saw anything. So the police had nothing to go on as far as catching the culprits. So Michael Brown was buried in Springfield Cemetery. And a couple days later, there was a map. The map was of the scene of the crime. It even identified the perpetrator. From that information, from the back of his headstone, the police investigators were able to follow the leads and actually arrest somebody for the crime. Now that is what the legend says. Now why am I even bringing this up if it's just a legend? Well, some legends are based partially on fact. So the fact of this case is there is a Michael Brown who was involved in a car accident, who did die, who is buried in Springfield Cemetery, who does have a map-like drawing on the back of his headstone. Now everything else pretty much has been disproven. Excuse me. Disproven. For example, upon closer investigation and research, it looks like that the mother, after he was buried and after the headstone was erected, took the headstone and had an engraving of a drawing of his of a hunt. Then it was placed back. So I say that to mention that all claims of the paranormal need to be researched rather than just accepted. It's I think a lot of times people, because it sounds like a fun story, will pass it along and not give it a lot of thought. And some people who may be particularly gullible will believe it and run with it and tell their friends and all that type of stuff. And I'm all for spreading fun stories. I like urban legends as much as the next person. But the second part of why I'm telling this story is this. It's because even paranormal legends have real-life consequences. For example, this particular cemetery had to rework its rules around this one particular grave. For example, they have rules about loitering at night because of this particular grave. There were people coming into the cemetery, drinking, using drugs, partying, desecrating, his grave, breaking the stone up because of the attention that this particular story got. Also, there were people who would come to his grave when it was intact in the past and light candles, offer candy, provide all kind of different things as if he was some type of spirit that could grant wishes. So you have all this going on in the middle of the night. You had family members coming into his grave and seeing people standing over him who were not part of the family and friends, and it made them very uncomfortable, especially in the climate of a small town. So that's why I mentioned this story. It's kind of a unique, interesting story, and I want to kind of leave you with that. So this is Mark Henry, and I hope to see you in a future video. Please subscribe and like, and see you later.